Thank you very much. How's everyone today? Thank you. And what are your feelings on the green revolution? Is it something that's real? Is it fake? Well, this is rare earth elements. Let me say that first off, rare, the adjective in the name, is very accurate. Economic deposits of rare earth elements are extremely rare. As we'll get into this today, this is arguably the best rare earth element project in the world that is not yet in production, and is the project that compares most favorably to the world's largest rare earth element producer, which yes, is in China, which is called Bayan Obo in the Baotao. But we'll get into that. I'm very happy to present to you today Commerce Resources Ashram Rare Earth Element and Fluorspar deposit. In terms of the financial information, I would just focus on the fact that we are at a very low share price right now. Part of the reason for that may be because we were not yet successful in getting the Australian Stock Exchange listing that we were looking for last year. Ultimately, we believe in the Australian Stock Exchange in so much as that our long-time 25-year plus associates behind Patriot Battery Metals. Who knows that company? Patriot Battery Metals went from 15 cents a share in the fall of 2021 to over $17 a share by February of 2023. That's over 10,000% profit with a new Australian CEO and an Australian Stock Exchange listing. But yes, also on the backs of the all-time highest lithium price and a great lithium discovery. At any rate, this is the current board right now. I stepped back as CEO of the company on July 31st in favor of Mr. Ross Carroll, who has major mining company management experience, having been the CFO of a plus billion-dollar Australian mining company. I'm still with the company as head of corporate development, and I'm very happy to be with the company still, as I've been with for over 20 years. In terms of the global rare earth element market, the actual demand has more than tripled in the last 10 years. And in that time period, there's only been one new commercially significant producer added to the market, which only has added about 40,000 tons of product, and that is Lynas. Lynas currently have a market cap of over $5 billion. The other producer you may know about is the only rare earth element miner in North America, which is MP Materials on the eastern border of Nevada in California. And our rock is worth just slightly over double what their rock is worth on a per ton basis. I want you to remember that, and to remember that we also have over 200 million tons in the current resource of rock that is worth double the value of MP Materials, and they currently have a market cap north of $2 billion. In terms of the critical minerals, yes, rare earth elements are in the most critical corner of anybody's rare critical minerals chart, as you can see here. Yes, in Canada and the United States and the European Union, they all share basically the same 31 commodities with rare earth elements, especially the rare earth elements that are essential for magnet manufacturing in the most critical part of this chart. In terms of rare earth elements, does anyone have an electric toothbrush? Does anyone have a Tesla? Anyone have a Polestar? Anyone have a Lucid? Anyone have a leaf blower? Anyone have a mobile phone? Does anyone know Nikola Tesla? Nikola Tesla identified and spoke about the rotating magnetic field about 120 years ago. As he said, it is still a vital living thing for all time to come. And for those of us who all played with magnets when we were children, you know how two magnets will chase each other. That is the backbone of all electric motors. Whether you go to the washroom now, and I don't think there are Dyson hand dryers here, but a Dyson hand dryer, a Dyson vacuum cleaner, a Stanley & Decker leaf blower, that amazing performance is two rare earth element magnets out of sync chasing each other. That is the highest and best use of rare earth elements right now. But back to what I referred to earlier about the green revolution. If you're not a fan of that, and if you're a fan of the oil patch, the two largest markets for two rare earth elements are actually the fossil fuel industry, because cereal is essential to manufacture catalytic converters for internal combustion engine vehicles, and lanthanum is essential to transform oil into gasoline. Lanthanum is used for fuel cell cracking catalysts. So those are the two largest markets. Very thankfully, we have an offtake agreement with a major manufacturer for our lanthanum oxide. It's not public, but we do have it, and that will be part of our economics, which we look to release in late Q1 or early Q2. But basically, everything that has an electric motor, whether it's a wind turbine, whether it's an electric vehicle, whether it's a robot, whether it's an HVAC system, all of these things with electric motors absolutely need rare earth element magnets to have the performance they have today. As I spoke about earlier, the rising demand for rare earth elements, the greatest increase of demand is for the four magnetic materials, of which our ashram project has the highest percentage of outside, even higher than the world's largest producer. We have up to 25% of the four rare earth elements that are essential in manufacturing a permanent magnet. Those are neodymium, praseodymium, terbium, and dysprosium. And the miner in California, MP Materials, they have negligible of those last two, terbium and dysprosium. Terbium is currently worth about $750 a kilo, dysprosium about $250 a kilo. You don't need a lot of those ones to make your rock exponentially more valuable, and that is the case with Commerce Resources. The ashram rare earth element and fluorspar deposit is located in Nunavik, Quebec. The deposit itself is wholly owned by Commerce Resources. It also, yet, besides being one of the largest and best mineralized rare earth element deposits in the world, it also has this gargantuan fluorspar deposit aspect to the deposit. We believe it is the second largest defined fluorspar resource in the world. It wouldn't be a standalone fluorspar mine, but as a byproduct, that is of significant interest to anyone in the world who uses fluorspar. And now I'm talking for Rio Tinto, because at Alcan you need fluorspar to make aluminum, to make steel, then all of the world's chemical companies, etc., etc. In recent meetings in Japan with the major Japanese trading houses, Marubeni, Sumitomo, Mitsubishi, etc., they're actually just as interested, if not more so, in the fluorspar byproduct than the rare earth elements at this point in time. The global market for fluorspar changed dramatically in 2017 when China became a net import, and the world since that time has been dependent on essentially one country's source, which is Mexico, and that material out of Mexico is very relatively dirty with higher levels of arsenic than what we have on site. So at any rate, Commerce Resources with the ashram rare earth element of fluorspar deposit in Nunavik, Quebec. The jurisdiction itself is very warped. If you go to the Fraser Institute's list of investment attractive jurisdictions, Quebec has been lowered down from number 1 or number 2 down to number 8. But it was lowered down to number 8 because of a ruling in the southern two-thirds of Quebec that does not affect projects in Nunavik where we are. So I would argue that Nunavik, if it was segregated from Quebec, would be the number 1, 2, or 3 most mining-friendly jurisdiction in the world. And if you know nickel, then you would potentially know Glencore's Raglan project to the north of us, which is going into its 27th year of operation. In terms of Raglan as well, Investissement Québec financed the construction of their 165-kilometer-long haul road in 1996 and 1997. As well, at the center of this map of Quebec, you can see in orange the Stornoway Haul Road, which also Investissement Québec financed in 2010-2011, and that road is about 200 kilometers long. We are very optimistic that Investissement Québec and Société de Plan Nord will also, who have expressed the interest of financing the road in our area, will follow through with that. As well, Nunavik is also very interesting because it is under what is called the James Bay Northern Quebec Agreement and the Northeastern Quebec Agreement. These are agreements which are the most codified mechanisms for advancing a resource project, arguably in North America. This is the current resource of the ashram deposit. The indicated amount went up 164% last year. And then the inferred amount is, as you can see here, 131 million tons. The Securities Commission don't like you to collate those numbers, but collectively it is over 200 million tons. But rare earth elements are one of the only commodities, if not the only commodity, where tonnage and grade are not the most important factors. Yes, tonnage and grade are at a certain point important, but they are subsidiary to mineralogy and geology. And as I said earlier, the ashram has a distribution that compares it much more favorably to the only rare earth element producer in North America, and compares it favorably to the world's largest producer of rare earth elements, which is Baonobo in Bacau, China. Baonobo and the Ashram project are both monazite dominant rare earth element projects with fluorspar byproducts. We, though, as you can see at the bottom of this chart, we have a higher percentage of neodymium and praseodymium, which are the two largest inputs out of the four inputs to manufacture a permanent magnet. In terms of processing, we recently released an update on these optimizations in our processing. Our extremely positive economics, which we released in 2012, which had a pre-tax NPV of $2.3 billion and a pre-tax internal rated return of 44%, those economics were detailed upon what we had produced in less than 2 years of working on the project, which was a 10% flotation concentrate. We're now producing flotation concentrates with a grade north of 35%, which will be a reduction in operating costs. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today. We are at booth 423. Any other further questions or explanation, please come and see me. Thank you.